Yeah, guys, welcome to the Africa for Almans podcast. And in this week, we are looking into the South African country of Zimbabwe. Enjoy. Yeah, guys, Zimbabwe, a very fascinating country, landlocked in the southern part of Africa, about average in size, a bit bigger than Germany, with round about 17 million people. And for this interesting country, I have two special guests in this week, two fascinating young ladies. First of all, we have Tifa, a good friend of mine from Ankara, Turkey, where she currently studies sociology, and she explains us a lot about the geography, also the history and the political economic situations. We talk also about her way out of Zimbabwe and her reflections on that. And then secondly, also we have an interview tuning in from Cologne with a very good German. I was really impressed after a few years only. It's a German-English interview for the second part together with Sima. She is a nurse in Cologne, my hometown, and she explains us a lot about her way from Zimbabwe over the au pair phase, over also her Bundesfreiwilligendienst, and she gives us then also a nice introduction into her activities in Zimbabwe, because she's active there despite being very young. She's trying to raise funding for school fees for unprivileged school pupils in Zimbabwe, and two very energetic young ladies with whom I had a great conversation, and I'm looking forward for you guys to give me feedback on that. What did you think about it? Would you like to be more informed about what they are doing, what's happening next? And in any case, if you enjoy this format, of course, subscribe to us. We are on Facebook, Instagram. Support us. We are basically on all podcast platforms. But if you guys want more in terms of content, in terms of topics, there's only one way to reach out to us and also to donate, to support. It is via PayPal possible. It is via Steady HQ. All the links you find in the subscription, in the description of this very podcast. And for the next time, I welcome the interesting country of Somalia. Until then, I wish you a nice weekend and enjoy those fascinating interviews. Ciao. In this 45th episode already, wow, time is flying. I welcome for this one to discuss with me Zimbabwe. I welcome in Ankara, Tifa. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and be discussing about Zimbabwe.
Yes, it's a very interesting place. Also in the English context, I think it would be the last country. I've had many people who told me, wait, you're doing 55 countries. Why is Zimbabwe not the last? But the Germans write it with an S for some reason. So apparently it's how it's going. First of all, I mean, we're talking now in times of the probably biggest crisis, if not to say, of the last 50, 100 years, who knows? How is it everything in Ankara so far? How are things going? Is the outbreak also that serious?
It is very serious in Ankara. Apparently, cases are doubling every day and almost all the places are closed. It's basically almost becoming a ghost town. So
which is
crazy.
5 million, right? So, I mean, that's a very big ghost town there, yeah?
Yes,
Crazy.
it is.
Huh.
It is, yeah.
But the university and everything is also closed?
Yes, we closed universities last week. They closed for 3 weeks, so we're going to be having online lessons starting from tomorrow.
Maybe just to give some context, we speak on the end of March, so a few days before the release of the episode. And and then also, of course, with our today's topic, how's the situation in Zimbabwe? Are you still in touch with the family back home?
Yes, I am. I am in touch. I speak to my mother almost every day. She updates me about what's going on. So far, I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, they found 2 cases. And these are the first cases ever in Zimbabwe. 2 confirmed cases, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, talking of which, maybe I think we will get a bit more involved with you as a person later, which is also very interesting.
Okay.
But to give maybe the listeners somewhat of introduction, could you maybe start with explaining a bit the location of Zimbabwe? Where are we exactly in Africa, and also maybe which are the neighboring countries?
All right. So, Zimbabwe is located in the southern part of Africa, and it is bordered by Zambia, Mozambique, South Africa, and Botswana.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's completely landlocked.
It's
Yeah.
landlocked. It's a very interesting shape, yeah, with a bit of a triangle to the left, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a horn, the same
The
horn that's
horn,
on
exactly.
at
Horn.
the top. It's the same that's on Zimbabwe. Yes.
Interesting. And in
Yeah.
terms of size, like relative to maybe some other countries, or maybe also, I know Germany is 350,000 square kilometers, for example. Do you know the numbers for Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe is about 390 square kilometers.
1-0. Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's small compared to the other countries. Yeah, it's quite
That's true.
small.
I mean, still European comparison, I guess, but like half of Turkey, maybe compared to your current location. I think Turkey is like somewhat close to 800,000. So yeah. And the population, is it densely populated, or is it maybe rather a bit, what's the opposite of densely? Scarce populated? So I don't know.
Yes, scattered. It's not densely populated. I think it's scattered. People are scattered all over. I think, yeah.
So
it's
like big cities is not a big thing there, like metropolitan cities.
Well, it is. In the capital city, there are parts of it that are densely populated. But then as we go outside to the outside areas of the country, like around the country, it's not very much populated. It's not densely populated. But in the metropolitan cities, it is like a little bit, not too much. I'm not sure about the numbers, but yeah, I think it's a little bit populated. Yeah.
But if I look at the geography, it doesn't seem to be like a difficult place to settle, right? I mean, there's no like insane mountains or desert or like jungle or something, you know? It seems like, maybe you tell us more, but it seems like a very nice place technically to live everywhere, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very, very, especially in the east of the country and central parts of the country. It's very green. But when we go towards the south and the west, it's a little bit drier there because those parts don't get too much rainfall. But the east and the south, they get a lot of rainfall there.
Interesting. And maybe in terms of like distinct geographic elements, could you give us some of like popular mountains or rivers that people would find in Zimbabwe?
Yeah. Okay, so towards the south of the country, there's the Limpopo River, and that river is the one that borders Zimbabwe and South Africa. And then towards the northwest, there's the Zambezi River.
Yes, very famous.
Which in that area, that's where you find the famous Victoria Falls, and that river also borders Zimbabwe and Zambia. So those are two most famous rivers. And then there's the highest mountain in Zimbabwe. It's called Mount Inyangani, and it is 2,590 meters.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah, so it's the highest point in Zimbabwe, I guess.
Nice.
The highest mountain. Yeah, I think those are our main distinct rivers and mountains, and then the Victoria Falls that's known around the world. Yeah.
But like the rest of the country, would you say is rather hilly, or is it more flat, or what are like maybe also the climatic conditions in this case? Like, is it made for farming, or what is like the situation for these things?
Like I was saying, the west and the north. Is it the north? Yeah, they don't get much rainfall. So that side, the lands are not very farming friendly, but they are more cattle rearing and some crops that are prone to not much rainfall or what you call it, famine, like cotton, for example, they are farmed there. But then as we go down to the east, it's more mountainous there. It's more greener because there's a lot of rainfall. Yeah, that side that is bordered by Mozambique. That side, there is more farming that is done because in the Eastern Highlands in Zimbabwe, that's where you find a lot of tea estates because we also do tea farming. So
Tea farming. Tea. Okay, like the drink. Okay.
Tea, yes, leaves. So tea estates are found across the eastern highlands of the country. That side where it's more mountainous, it rains a lot. But in general, Zimbabwe does have like a lot of farming land. Most of the land is very fertile in Zimbabwe.
And that's maybe then also the case or the reason why it's not so urban in a way. Like maybe the big cities are not.
Yeah, most probably. The big cities, they're fine. But like I said, as we move away from the metropolitan areas, you find more, farm-like because people are involved in a lot of farms. Even in general, even in the metropolitan area, you find someone has a big yard, they have their house, but they still have like a small garden, or not a small garden. Some people even have big gardens. They do their own farming. So everywhere. You can do farming everywhere.
Interesting.
Whether it's for commercial reasons or it's for your own private reasons, yeah.
And from a touristic perspective, probably the first thing people would associate Zimbabwe with would be the Victoria Falls, I guess, right? Are there other maybe some, I don't know, natural reservoirs or some animal tourism, or what do you think is?
Yeah, we have a lot of game parks where you can go there. You see a lot of animals, and we have, like I was saying, Mount Inyangani. People go there as well for tourism. People visit the tea states. People visit the Kariba. Kariba is like a sea where all the hydro power is sourced from in Zimbabwe.
Cool.
Yeah, there's like Kariba Dam. There's also wildlife there. And of course the Victoria Falls and so many other places that I don't even know about. And also there's the Great Zimbabwe. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No.
Yes, it's the stone ruins that the early people, the early settlers, the Kayanga people, they went and they settled there. So they built a whole empire, a whole homestead, but it's very big, out of stone.
Out of stones.
And they were just piling stones on top of each other. They weren't using any cement or anything. So it's also a tourist destination, yes.
Very nice, yeah. So a lot of options if one is interested to come. And now that you have already mentioned a few of the native tribes, maybe in terms of population also, could you give us some overview? I saw when I was preparing in the language part, Jesus Christ, you guys have like at least 10, 15 official languages. I was very impressed. But maybe just, I don't know, if there's like the big language or the big tribe, maybe you can give us like some context for that.
Okay, so there are two main ethnicities. Sorry, there are two main ethnicities in Zimbabwe, which are the Shona and the Ndebele.
Okay.
So the Shona are the predecessors of the Bantu tribes. They are also part of the Bantu tribes, the Shona, and and then the Ndebele people. And the original natives of Zimbabwe are the Shona people. The Ndebele people, they came from South Africa and up there. But most of the people really are the Shona people.
Okay, so the large amount of languages I might have encountered are like subgroups of those two big tribes then probably.
Yes. I would like to say so.
Interesting. And in terms of religion, is it also that clear to I for example, last week I spoke on the Sierra Leone, and there you have, of course, you have Christians and Muslims, but technically also a lot of them still have their indigenous beliefs and like some animists or some other things. It's like it's not really a clear cut between these things. Is that, would you say, also maybe the case in Zimbabwe?
Yes, it is because for now, since colonization, the predominant religion is Christianity, and it makes almost 85% of the population. Wow. And then surprisingly, I didn't know this, but surprisingly, the Muslim population in Zimbabwe is less than 1%.
Less than 1%. That's
yes.
Very low.
And there's also like the African religions, which make about 3%, and then the non-religious people make 12%. So yeah, the predominant religion is Christianity, because when the colonization was taking place, there were a lot of missionaries who came in. They came in with Christianity and all that. So since then, people have been active Christians in Zimbabwe.
Interesting. So I think it's a case for many of the southern SADC states, right? Like a lot of them are predominantly Christian.
Yes, that's right.
Nice. And I mean, you already smoothly introduced the chapter of the stone side of Karanga. Now that we can maybe drive into the second chapter, so to say, I always like to speak then about the history. I don't know. It's probably quite complex in terms of all the different tribes that may have been there for some time. But maybe just to give us like a brief overview, can you tell us who was maybe the first population or the historical native population in Zimbabwe, and who maybe then came after?
Okay. So from what I know and what I've learned over the years, the Karanga they were the first ones to Zimbabwe. Like I was saying, they're in the Great Zimbabwe, where they built their homes, everything stone. And right now, today, they are part of the Shona ethnic, the majority of the people in Zimbabwe. And they migrated from the Great Lakes, and they found the Khoisan. So it's like the Khoisan were already there, but the Karanga now they came and then they integrated with the Khoisan. And then they settled in that place that it was called Mapungubwe.
Okay.
Yes. And the structures that they built out of the stone blocks without using cement today is what is known as the Great Zimbabwe. So they were predominantly staying there, and then now they started scattering. And then later on, from the South African side, from the South African side, the Bele people came, but they were escaping. They escaped. I can't remember the king's name. I think I don't know. I can't remember the king's name, but they escaped there as a group, as a faction. They escaped, and then they were under the rule of King Lobengula, and then they settled in the Matebele land, the side that's in the not west, but some part of Zimbabwe, and then formed the Ndebele people. Those people, they escaped from the Zulu tribe, and then they came as a faction, and they became the Ndebele people. But since then they found Shona people, those Ndebele people. They found Shona people, and then they fought the Shona people. Yes, they were enslaving them, and then they were basically just tribal wars. And then at the end, that's when colonization is in now, the missionaries, and so predominantly it was the Khoisan people who were met by the Shona people, the Kalanga people, and then the Ndebele people came in.
And as I see now, I mean, you didn't mention, for example, the Khoisan earlier, so I assume they have been integrated now in that Karanga or Shona tribe. But until this day, they keep separating themselves from the Ndebele. Is it still like they are still not like united in that sense? Like it's still a bit differences between them?
Yes, there are still tribal today between the Ndebele people and the Shona people, because the Shona people, they make up almost 80%, and then the Ndebele people make up almost 20% of the country. So there are still indifferences because of history and the colonization of the Shona people, not the colonization, but like those tribal wars, the conquering of the Shona tribes by the Ndebele people, and the slavery within the tribes. And also later on in history, when the land was given back to Black people after colonization, there were a lot of Ndebele natives that were killed by Shona people. So that animosity, that friction, it still causes friction up until today.
Wow.
And it's quite bad. Really, Shona people don't really get along with Ndebele people. Like
So you probably
Even up
still,
until
yes, you still see it in the maybe also the leadership that I don't know, probably Shona are more dominant in political things,
yes,
right? I
yes,
mean,
that's
it's
true.
probably,
That's very true. It still projects
Hmm.
up until today. That friction is still very much existent.
But how was it under colonial times? Because normally, when there's issues between two groups, the best thing to unite them is a common enemy. Was the colonial period at least more peaceful for them in between? Or, I mean, of course, they probably both suffered.
No, actually, I thought it'd be like that as well. Like they have a common enemy, so they're going to unite and fight together. Apparently, it wasn't like that at first. So there were faction leaders, like revolution leaders, right? One group was the one that was led by Robert Mugabe, his own people, the Shona people, basically. And then from the Ndebele tribe, there was Joshua Nkomo, who was also leading his own faction, trying to fight the white white supremacy. So now they were both operating from different bases. The Ndebele thing, it was operating from Tanzania. Is it Tanzania? I think, yeah. And then the Shona faction was operating from Mozambique. So they never really united up until the end. The end was maybe like I don't know what really happened, but they did end up uniting at the so there wasn't really harmony between
and how was the situation during the colonization? Because I mean, in some cases, I'm sure also slavery was a thing. Were they treated in the same way by the colonizers, or was it maybe like with, for example, the Hutu and Tutsis, that there's like made differentiations between them from no?
They were treated the same. They were treated the same. All of them. They were both enslaved. Leaders were, thrown into prisons. So there wasn't any distinction. They were all Zimbabweans to the colonizers. They were all Zimbabweans, and they were treated the same. They had the same predicaments. All of them.
Interesting. Yeah. But the dominant, maybe I always have this issue in the back of my mind when I hear Zimbabwe. There's always old maps with Rhodesia. I always keep hearing Rhodesia. Maybe just to give us some idea, what was actually happening during those times when the British were in Zimbabwe? What were they playing around with the maps or something? I don't know. Like I keep seeing there were different shapes of the country, different names. Very interesting.
Yeah. So, because of the first white British man who came and implemented his colonial rule, his name was Cecil Rhodes. So he formed he formed the British South African Company, and that company received a charter that had objectives to extend the railway from Kimberley to Zambezi, and it also was to encourage migration and colonization, and to promote trade and commerce, and to secure mineral rights. And then when now they reached the site, which is present day Zimbabwe. No, not Zimbabwe. Present day Zimbabwe, but the exact location was Harare, which is the capital. So they were like, this is going to be the future capital of Rhodesia. And then they began to claim prospecting rights from there. So now, because of his name, Cecil Rhodes, the area now was called Rhodesia. So because his company had also colonized Zambia, it colonized Malawi.
Yes, exactly. There was many parts with have some Rhodesia in the name, right?
So there was Southern Rhodesia, and then there was Rhodesia, and then there was Northern, which were all the countries. So it was just basically one country, but with different administrations and boundaries, basically. And, I think the railway boundaries or something like that. So, yeah, but it was really under different admin. But because of Cecil Rhodes, they named the whole territory after him.
Okay, but it was not a rulership by Cecil Rhodes. It was just named after him?
Yes.
Okay.
His company is the one that first came to promote colonization. He was the one who led the pioneers, everyone. He was the one who came, and then he was like, okay, this place is fine. There are so many what you call this, prospects. We can explore so many prospects here. There's minerals, there's land, and also the missionaries had been coming in and going back and reporting like the people have managed to convince them to sign all of these documents. They don't really know what they're signing, but we've convinced them to sign. So Cecil Rhodes now just brought that company, and then he started making waves, like spreading out the word and doing his developments that were pro-colonialism.
Yes, and I think the company itself is still active in some of these areas. No? I forgot the name. What is it called now? But I mean, the same industries, at least from the Botswana episode, I remember, they're still involved there. Yeah, they didn't completely lose grip.
Yeah. They didn't completely let go. They didn't.
So let's hope maybe at least it is done on the surface so that people still realize what's going on. Yeah, interesting phase. You already let's say tackled a bit of the then let's say starting struggle for independency. Maybe just to give us some dates so we know where we are. At what time did the colonialization of Britain or the let's say the oppression of Zimbabwe, when did it actually end, and when was like the first time of a democratic or at least free Zimbabwe?
It ended in 1979. That's where the war ended, the independence war. That's when it ended, and then that is
it's very
in
late, though, right? Very late. Surprise! I mean, all African nations so far have been earlier, I think.
Yes, in the other countries, Zambia and Malawi, they'd already gotten their independence. So Zimbabwe was the last country independent. Yeah.
So it's still rather new institutions, and most things are not, let's say, have not proven over 2 or 3 generations yet. It's still in the early stages.
Yeah, it is. It's still quite a young country.
And who was the first to run this new independent country?
The first one was I forgot his name.
No problem. I would have. I thought it was a rhetorical question, and the first was Robert Mugabe, but maybe there was another guy in between. I don't know.
Yes, there was.
Okay, but obviously he's not known since his successor came to rise to a certain fame. I think. Nobody probably remembered.
Okay, his name was Kenan Banana.
Kenan Banana. Okay.
Yes, and he became the first president. Yeah, he became the first president, and then Robert Mugabe was the prime minister.
I mean, I think this name for many people will have some sort of impact. Maybe just to give us some introduction, how would you describe Robert Mugabe? It's very interesting now for me to see it maybe from a local Zimbabwean, to see her perspective, because I think for many Africans he means very different things, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would say for me, I can describe him, or I could describe my feelings towards him in 2 different stages, not stages, but 2 different criteria. The first feeling was the first feelings that I get, or the first feelings that I want to explain are him before, shortly after the independence, during the 1990s and the early 2000s, probably. Yes. I think he was a good president. He was a role model, and he made sure that he was stern, and he told the white people to back off, basically. So I liked that he did that. He went, the SADC meetings. He went to the AU meetings, and he did make sure that they knew that Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. Yes. He did say that. But then, as time progresses, towards the end of his rule now, when he was changing all these rules, the legislature, and he was, apparently rigging elections. And for me, basing on the fact that I was living in Zimbabwe
Yes.
all my life before I came here, and I experienced the crisis that was there in 2008, and it was very bad, and it was all because of him. So I would think that as much as he liked to portray himself as a socialist or someone who's very revolutionary, I think I could say that he was nothing close to that. No, he wanted to portray that, but I think he failed. I think he was just a very ambitious socialist.
Ambitious.
Yes, he was very ambitious, a very ambitious socialist. And but behind all of that, he was just a very authoritative. He was running an authoritarian empire of his own.
I mean, I assume at the time when he got to power, this was still more or less on vogue, yeah, so to say. I mean, there was a lot of bloc countries with a socialist, communist, maybe even tendency, but probably he found himself in a more, I don't know, liberal world after the fall of the Soviet Union. I can imagine it is then difficult, yeah, to change the system or to, I don't know, navigate through these times with such a socialist origin, yeah. It's probably not easy. Must be hard.
It couldn't have been easy, but then I just feel like he could have done a lot of things different, a lot.
But maybe because I think we are also at some point we mentioned already the issue he had with white farmers, but was it the case that Zimbabwe had a lot of white farmers before the independence? Because I imagine if they stayed under British rule for so long that and you said also that there's a lot of farming land, that then probably they had a distinct or a relevant white minority in the country still, right?
Yes, because there was a land reform, the Land Apportionment Act in 1930.
Okay.
That act made sure that most of the better land was given. In fact, all of the better land was given to the white population. And what's surprising is the white population only made 5% of the population that time.
Okay,
and
so
then
less than in South Africa and Namibia and others.
Yes. And then that act, it was the first legislation that legalized land segregation. So that land segregation made sure that all the black people, the native Zimbabweans, moved into communal living, areas which had land that was not fertile. It also ensured that the black farmers were displaced from their farms, and so this Land Apportionment Act, it made provisions for evicted indigenous farmers, so they had no land. The land that they were staying in was like sand. It was not fertile for them. So now, when Mugabe came in now, then he did the Reappropriation Act, where land was now being grabbed from white farmers and given back to indigenous people, right? But the way that he did it also was, during that process, he did it without any compensation. It was just an act that was passed and land was grabbed and there was no compensation whatsoever. And also that's the same time that the Ndebele people were killed. More than 20,000 Ndebele people were killed. So the animosity runs because the Ndebele people would never ever liked Robert Mugabe, because they said that during that period, it was called the Gukurahun. That period, a lot of Ndebele blood was spilled, and the Ndebele blood, they say, is on his hands. So all of this, the displacement of the Ndebele tribe, the land reforms, all of this, it just made him more unpopular.
But is it the case that then the land, I mean, you said it was basically taken away and offered to others, apparently to Ndebele as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't imagine why they were killed. But were the white populations then also kind of asked to leave, or did they resist afterwards, or what was the situation after this?
they were asked to leave. Actually, like, because it was done in a very violent way.
Yes.
They some of them just left.
Left early, yes, I
Because
imagine.
it wasn't safe for them. It wasn't safe for them. It wasn't safe. So they just left. Most of them, when they saw that land was being taken because they were being killed, people were dying, people were being violent. So most of them left. That's the period where a lot of white people left.
Yeah, I mean, I always keep thinking about these. I guess to some extent it's a similar case in South Africa, even until today. There's some discussion on this, and Namibia maybe as well. But like the stupidity is so big for me because it's so long ago, you know? I mean, if you say it's the 30s, then that means that 2 or 3 generations were raised with this the segregation, probably even white generations who are not aware that this is stupid or something. And at the same time, also the black farmers, the old black farmers lost all of their knowledge and all of their techniques, I imagine. Yeah, and when they get back their farmland 50 years later, I'm sure it was not easy to just continue where they stopped 50 years ago, you know? It's like, it's a very difficult situation.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And also I think this is funny because, not funny, wrong word, but this is interesting since it's always taken as an example. Yeah, everybody who talks about land reforms, it always is referred to the Mugabe expropriation without compensation issue. And it's in itself, I think, a very unique case. You cannot probably compare it to many other situations where
you
maybe
can't.
I mean, I know it's a big topic, and I think before we get stuck here, if you have some complimentary reading maybe for this, I mean, or some articles, preferably in English, maybe you can also just hit me up. I'll post them in the notes so that people, if they want to learn a bit more about this time and also these reforms, we can provide that, because I of course also want to continue and come to you and your chapter at the end as well. But maybe just to finish, what was in the end? I mean, Mugabe is not there anymore, I assume, right? It's a new presidency now, or how did things develop in the last 10 years?
Since for the last 3 years, because he was forced out of power, like, because there was a military back in 2017.
Okay.
So because he had been ruling for 37 years, people were so tired. I was tired as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. You didn't meet, I mean, you're a 90s kid as well, yeah? You never knew anyone else, right?
Yeah. So because of all of that, I think we just needed, as a nation, we just needed new rule.
Yes.
And then after the coup, the current president right now, Emmerson Mnangagwa, he was also one of Mugabe's what you call it, right hand.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, he was one of Mugabe's right hands. So I can't really say that there's been much change in the rule. I can't really say that.
So it's still the same ZANU party in charge?
Yes, it's still the same ZANU party that's in charge, and now he's the president. But he was there when Mugabe was doing all of his conquests and all of his reforms and everything. He was there. He has always been there. He was one of Mugabe's right hands. So it's just like, they cut from the same cloth. He's the same.
I understand.
Yes, he's the same man, same regime, same everything like Mugabe. So for me, I can't really see anything different, except maybe he hasn't killed people like within the 3 years.
I heard he was named the crocodile, yeah? So it doesn't seem like the most friendly animal to,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if he killed anyone, but it's probably not the opposite as well.
Yeah. So I don't really any difference, honestly, between Mugabe and Mnangagwa. I think they're the same person.
And maybe also in terms of economics, I mean, I know you are also involved with social science in these things. Socioeconomically, did things change? Maybe that people are more optimistic, or I don't know. You mentioned, for example, a crisis 10 years ago. Did the aftermath of this crisis now recover, or what is maybe the situation on a socio-cultural level now?
No, actually, it's even worse now.
It's even worse.
Yes, because now the economy is just in shambles. of course, the president is going out and he's trying to source out investors and everything. But from the news that I read, some countries are skeptical to invest in Zimbabwe because it's so unstable. It's so unstable. It's got so many sanctions that are imposed by the US. It's got nothing going on for it. The economy is in shambles. So nothing much has really changed. In fact, things are actually getting worse because the inflation, the lack of like a stable currency, we use foreign currency.
You use foreign currency in everyday life.
We use American dollars, but there's a Zimbabwean dollar. It's called the bond note, but it was only implemented, I think, about a few years ago. But still, it's not a strong currency.
So it's inflation.
So the interuse of foreign currency and that bond note, but still everything, because of the inflation, everything, like salaries are becoming less and less by the day. Everything is becoming more expensive because so many things are being imported.
Okay.
And things are being imported and exported and everything. The economy is just not stable enough. So there really aren't any investors that are openly willing to invest in Zimbabwe at the moment.
Yeah, and I can imagine you said it's a new president, but with his same kind of government going on, and these guys being expropriating private ownership. I think also many international investors are a bit afraid that at some point maybe the crocodile decides, let me eat that company, and who knows?
Yes.
It's probably difficult to trust.
Yeah, I even saw an article that was saying Mnangagwa wants the cake for Zimbabwe, but he also wants a slice for himself. Yeah. So I think, when people from outside are saying that kind of statement, obviously now investors are going to be scared. They're going to be skeptical about the whole thing. Like, are we really going to go into this and invest this much? But because of also like the reputation of the history of the economy in Zimbabwe as a country, people are not really sure that are things going to progress or are things going to get like worse? What's going to happen? How are the funds that we're investing?
Yeah. I mean, you might not like this whole system of international capital and everything, but at least you need someone who can feed those snakes, at least keep them calm. It doesn't matter how, but it's part of the game. Yeah.
So probably the investors are saying, are the funds going to be handled properly? Even if we give them the what you call as capital, or we invest money into their economy and we give them a credit, are they going to pay back that credit? How are they going to pay it back?
Yes. And in which currency? I mean, that's a good question. Yeah, if inflation goes high, you don't want that currency. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yes. How are you going to pay it back? And how are they going to make sure that they're not going to pay us back money that was borrowed from somewhere else? All of things, they come into play at the end of the day.
But you mentioned that it's a lot of agriculture. So do you think at least the population is self-sustaining in terms of food provision, or is it also an issue that the local food is exported or something?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do agriculture, but it's not the agricultural sector. Yes, it's the backbone of the economy, but it's like, okay, once, for example, if a farmer has a plot or hectares and he farms tobacco, right? If he doesn't have like people from outside the country who are coming to buy from him directly, he's going to take that tobacco to the local tobacco floors, right? For his tobacco to be sold commercially on a larger scale. But it's not like he's being paid a lot by those local tobacco floors, It's just like, how do I say this? What you get for your input, like your input and your produce it doesn't amount back to your, what you get for your produce doesn't really amount your input, what you put in to grow the product.
And not to
You
speak
don't
of
really
investments for the future or savings or something.
Yes, you don't really get tangible returns, for that. So yes, people are doing agriculture. Yes, it's flourishing, but are you going to get paid enough for your product? No, because people don't have the money. There's scarcity of money within the country. People don't have money.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and agriculture, I'm sure, is like one of the industries. If you don't find the tools to invest, or like if you don't, I don't know, adapt to modern techniques, it's a very inefficient business. I think, right? Like it's a very hard work. It's nothing you want to do for your life.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, and because right now most people are living from hand to mouth. That's how the economy is right now. People don't have savings. People don't have, bank accounts. That they just go maybe somewhere at a flea market or at a local selling place designated by the government. They sell whatever they sell for that day, and they're not even selling that much stuff also because a lot of people are not buying. So whatever they get that day, they go, they buy food to feed the family for the night. That's how most people are living now. Like there is so much poverty, so much. The poverty rate, like a lot. It's really sad.
I can imagine. And is there, besides agriculture, any other option for a person to involve herself? Like, for example, if you would have stayed now in Zimbabwe and studied there, is there other industries that could offer jobs to the young uprising population?
Yeah, I think, like they say, it just depends with your connection. For now, you have to have a lot of connection. But yeah, there are a few places that people can find jobs, but it also has to be like a job that's in high demand. Like, let's say you have a PhD or something, you're very qualified. You go, you find a job because a lot of places need, people with experience and so you can find a job, but the chances of you going there with your degree that you just worked on and you just go and you apply, the chances of you finding a job compared to someone who has connections is different. So that's how it's just become now. You have to have connections, people to connect you, people to network you, because you can't really go a long way networking yourself. You have to have people to back you up. So people can get jobs, but the unemployment rate is very high as well. So a lot of people also cannot get jobs. There are a lot of graduates. People are just graduating, but they're doing. You find someone who did an engineering degree, there maths at a primary school. Yeah, because you can't really get a job. You just find whatever comes. People are taking that, whatever comes their way. If it's a teaching job, I'm gonna teach, even though I did actuarial sciences. I'm still gonna teach, even though it's not my qualifications. But this is a job. This is what will give me a salary, at least something, even if it's peanuts. Yeah.
That's sad. And I'm just trying to imagine what the situation would be for people our age in that country. Is there also maybe an opportunity to go to some of the neighboring countries, or are there like good relations to other foreign nations which can, I don't know, make exchange programs, or what is like maybe the international network of Zimbabwe?
Well, yeah, people do go. I mean, look at me. I'm here.
Yes, I mean, of course you are. But I mean, Turkey, I'm sure you are not it's not a big trend to go to Turkey from Zimbabwe, is it?
No, it's not. No.
You're very one of a kind, for sure.
Yes, but it's a trend. Like people go to Cyprus, people go to China, the UK. There is a chance for people to find jobs or school opportunities outside of Zimbabwe. It's a very vast area. People can go wherever they want to go. The problem now is just internal. It's internal. There's no problem you going abroad and stuff, no problem. But the internal now is quite, it's difficult.
And in the local area, like, I don't know, with the neighboring countries, is there like someone close enough maybe that you could consider, I don't know, go to Botswana for work, or how is the similarities with the neighboring countries? Is it closed or connected?
Yeah, it is. a lot of Zimbabweans right now are working in South Africa. Because Zimbabweans, whatever may be happening is happening, but one thing about Zimbabweans is they're very educated, very much. So wherever you go, if you studied in Zimbabwe, or basically if you studied in Zimbabwe, wherever you go, you can get a good job because we are educated. Our literacy rate, it's really high. Our education system is good. It's very good. So you can get a job anywhere in the world.
So it's just a question whether the market can provide enough jobs and enough opportunities for them.
Yeah.
And one thing you mentioned also China in this case, now maybe for once aside of the coronavirus hysteria, but is it also a trading partner, or is China like is it a big thing for Zimbabweans?
Yes. So China is both Zimbabwe's trading partner, Zimbabwe's commercial partner. Yeah, it's been Zimbabwe's partner since the 1980s. Yeah. So it plays a very big role when it comes to trade and commerce and trade and commerce. It really does play a big role.
But is there like a big minority of Chinese people living in Zimbabwe?
No.
Okay.
No, really. So, unless they're working in Zimbabwe on a project or something, then that's when they're in there. But after that, I've never seen a Chinese Zimbabwe.
Okay.
No.
So it's just a business or like a governmental relationship.
Yeah.
And soon maybe the Turks. Yeah. I mean, I'm always fascinated by you and Becca and Bookie, others, Edwin. You guys are probably the next one who can bring some new contacts to the home country then, yeah?
No, but there already are Turkish people working in Zimbabwe. Yes, there are. I have a couple of friends who are working with Turkish companies back in Zimbabwe. There are Turkish investment companies in Zimbabwe.
I mean, the Turks know a lot about agriculture and these things, and probably also have a bit more, applicable knowledge than maybe the Germans with their unusable machines. I think the German industry needs a lot of infrastructure standards to actually be useful. It's probably not so applicable in that sense. So probably Turkey can bring something to the table here. Maybe
because the countries that I know, they're doing infrastructure projects, and they're doing like waterworks, new water plants and building new houses. Yeah, basically infrastructure. They're in that field because Turkish people, they really know how to, they really are really equipped with infrastructure knowledge. So most of the companies that I know that are back in Zimbabwe, they're infrastructure based. They do infrastructure stuff.
And smoothly transferring also to our last part. Was that also your motivation, or maybe, for me, it's always very interesting to find someone from a rather small country like Zimbabwe going to Turkey. What was your body of thought maybe in the preparation for these studies? Did you choose Turkey actively, or was it more like a random choice, or how did things develop that you end up in Ankara?
Well, for me, my story is a little bit weird. It's not a typical story. What happened for me, I never thought about studying in Turkey ever. When I finished high school, the only time that I'd heard about Turkey was in history, back when Atatürk was still alive. That's the only thing I saw about Turkey. So it never occurred to me that, they actually have good universities. People go and study there. So my dad had a colleague, and his son was studying here.
Networks, after all, are the key to success.
Yes, so now when I finished my high school, my dad's colleague asked my dad, like, what's your daughter planning? Do you have any plans?
Yes.
Then my dad was like, no, we are just applying to local universities and maybe to a few universities in South Africa. We'll see what will happen. And then luckily that time it was the same time that the Turkish scholarship application period was starting. So then she just gave my dad the link, and she was like, have her try this, have her try and apply. Maybe, she'll get the place. It's a good scholarship. My son is also in Turkey, he's studying, he's almost graduating. So that's how I applied, and then I ended up coming here.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, the beauty, and probably for you at some point the suffering, is that the Turkish scholarships are in Turkish, right? So you have to undergo actually learn the language. I mean, I'm not super honest if I would be jealous about that fact. Maybe there's other languages I would prefer, but at least it's a new language. You have a new perspective. You have a completely new.
At least it will be good on a C if I'm going to apply.
Absolutely, but how? But let's.
Because I know Turkish.
You know Turkish, and it's a beautiful historical country. There's many beautiful sites to visit. I just wonder sometimes, do you think that also your future would be then in Turkey? Or, I mean, maybe to give some context, you still study sociology, if I'm correct?
Yes, I do.
Exactly. And I mean, that's a very applicable subject for many areas. Do you think also that Turkey could be your place, maybe long term?
I doubt it. Okay. Honestly, I do not. I want to settle in Turkey, no. But for studies, maybe. Yeah, for studies, it's a good place. It's not bad because I've already been here. This is my 5th year here, so I wouldn't mind extending because I'm already used to the system. Yes. But for future, for like a career and settling, I don't think Turkey is for me, no.
But I mean, I found it very fascinating, and I'm of course profiting a very big amount from that you guys have a very nice inter-African or pan-African community there, at least, because of all the different origins of students. It's very fascinating to me. So I'm sure at least for that it was totally worth it.
Yeah, it is. For sure, it was worth it. I would have never thought that I would have any friends from, any other countries that are not typically the countries that border my country.
Yes, exactly.
I never thought that I would be able to relate to someone else who has different background from me and call them, my family after living with them and chatting with them so long. I never thought that could happen to never ever in a million years did I ever think about that. But it's happening now, and it's happened. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And also I'm always curious, since also you have been there for 5 years, I mean that's a very long period. How did it also change in terms of your perspective on Zimbabwe as a country? Did you feel different, or do you feel different now in compared to when you left it for the first time?
Yes, definitely. I feel very different towards my country. It's my country. I love it. But after coming here, I've noticed that there's so much that Zimbabwe still has to catch up on. There's a lot, whether it's infrastructure-wise, whether it's media-wise, whether it's, just the people as a whole and nationalism. I've learned a lot. There are so many things that I wish Zimbabweans and Zimbabwe and the government as a whole, that the whole Zimbabwe Institute, I just wish they could, see what I see.
Yes, of course.
It's so different. I just that Zimbabwe would catch up with the times, because the whole world everywhere else is developing, but it seems as if Zimbabwe is taking, like a baby. It seems as if Zimbabwe is still crawling whilst the whole world, like most of the countries in the world, are walking already.
Yes.
But Zimbabwe is crawling, so it makes me really sad.
Absolutely. But no, the question is how to handle this. I mean, probably realistic awareness and not to become numb, And I mean, I always have this issue. I talked about something similar, so it's funny we talk about it with Fanny. That many, for example, Africans who are then moving to Europe and integrated there in the first generation, they start to to doubt everything back home. Everything is shit. Everything is so great here in Europe.
Yeah.
You still have to find some positive approach to still want to contribute some way. You still.
Yeah.
It's probably a difficult balance, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's something that I wish, I could, every day I try and think of ways, if I am to go back to Zimbabwe now, what can I do to influence, to portray whatever I've been experiencing here and influence the way my country is? What can I do? What would be most effective considering the current state of my country? How do I start? Where do I start from? Who do I talk to?
Exactly.
Where do I go?
And all you can actually do something, like people like me or others. Of course, we enjoyed the privilege of a German childhood, but there's not much you can actually have an impact in, I mean, you really, if you bring Turkish context or, I don't know, new concepts, new ideas, there's a large opportunity for you.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wish I could. But I think I know there's still, a future. There's still more, and there's still years to pass. But these things you have to start thinking about them now, because I'm almost graduating, and after graduation, I don't know what I'm going to get. Am I gonna go back home? If I go back home, then I have to go back and be someone.
Yes, exactly. And that's probably what the local friends and family expect now, right? That you are a made person since you were in the foreign country, and then now, okay, I'm back, guys. How's it going?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna follow up closely with you guys. I'm very curious to see how it goes, and of course, ideally, at some point, I'm happy to then see it myself how the things are going in Zimbabwe. But maybe just to finish with the German audience we are having here to 90%, if my numbers are not correct. What is maybe also the perspective on Germany in Zimbabwe? Do you think there's like a presence? Do people know about Germany, or is it one of many European countries that is kind of in this distant continent in the north?
No, people actually do know about Germans, because there are few Germans that live in Zimbabwe. They like, maybe not so many, but you go to the metropolitan cities, or you can see Zimbabweans. You can see German people. You can meet German people, and also, like, if you go to these touristic places, I think German is one of our, how do you say it? It's one of the countries that come for touristic purposes to Zimbabwe.
Nice.
So people actually have knowledge about German.
So it's a motivation, maybe not to be shy to try out next time. Also seeing Zimbabwe. Maybe
you should actually go. You would enjoy it. It's nice. No, like, even if it's going through the most right now, it's amazing. It's amazing. The people, they're struggling, yes, but they're very warm people. Zimbabweans are very warm people. They make you feel at home, and they do not alienate whatsoever. So even if you go for traveling purposes, for research purposes, anything you're going for, I am pretty sure that you wouldn't have a bad time. You enjoy yourself. You would love it.
Perfect. And maybe because I'm sure all of us can Google touristic pages who try to sell us offers. From a local perspective, what is your recommended place to visit, or what do you think is maybe also your favorite spot to visit in Zimbabwe? What would you recommend?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say Victoria Falls.
Is it? Nice.
It's one of a kind. It's amazing. But also, I would like to say that there is this place in the Eastern Highlands where I'm originally from, where my grandparents stay. It's like not two mountains. It's basically a mountainous place, and then there are bridges that connect those mountains. So it's like you can do bungee jumping from there. It's amazing. You can go there. You see animals. You try out. Like I said, we have really nice teas in Zimbabwe.
Very interesting. Yeah, I take that with me after this podcast. Tea of Zimbabwe. Very nice.
Yeah. So beautiful. That place is called the Mutarazi Falls. It's very nice. It's very nice.
Very nice. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tifa. I think we have an excellent introduction now into the country. And of course, if coronavirus allows the travels again, I hope we can also then catch up in person sometime later this year in Turkey. And in any case, I thank you very much. If you have any last words, feel free.
I would like to say thank you so much for having me. I had an amazing time. I really liked it. I like talking, so this is my thing.
I knew it when I selected you for this podcast. And let's see. At some point, maybe when the countries are run through, we'll find some special topics. I'm sure there'll be some incidents. But until then, I want to say thank you for everybody who's listening. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to follow us. We are involved in most social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and of course on let's say Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the common podcast distributors. And if you want to support us, we are also available on the PayPal and Steady. You find the links in the description. And in any case, I wish you guys good luck to survive in this week, and hope to hear you guys again in next Friday. Ja, herzlich willkommen zur zweiten Runde Afrika für Allmanns. Simbabwe ist eine wirkliche Spezialfolge und mit mir begrüße ich aus Köln zugeschaltet die gute Simakuhle. Ich hoffe, ich habe das richtig ausgesprochen.
Nee, du kannst es nicht. Bleib mal
Ich kann
einfach
es
bei
nicht. Ich habe es auch
Simmer.
schon eben versucht, aber korrigiere mich ruhig, dann haben wir es einmal korrekt.
Ja, ich bin Simakuhle Ncube, heißt das, Freddy. Versuch's das mal wieder.
Ich glaube, das ist dieser Klicklaut quasi,
Dieser
ne? Der
Klicksound, ja. Das
Kule,
muss schon ein bisschen,
das ist
genau, du musst ein bisschen von Kindheit an, ne?
Kinder. Es
Da
ist
fängt sie schon
ungewöhnlich,
an.
ne? Es gibt ja im Süden
Genau,
Afrikas einige, glaube ich, ne? Es ist so Khoisan ähnlich. Ist das in der Verbindung dazu, oder?
ja, genau, das ist so Verbindung zu Khoisan und Guni und so, also das hat schon, ich glaube, vor 4 Jahren, also vor vielen Jahren
Vielen Jahren.
angefangen.
Bleiben wir bei vielen
Ja,
Jahren.
die sagen, ich kann das ja so besser auf Englisch erklären, weil die sagen, traditionally their states have migrated from Africa's Great Lakes region from the north.
Okay.
5,000 years ago from the Nguni people.
5000. Wow.
Exactly.
So
So it's, the Ngunis were people who just a group of people who migrated from Egypt to Africa. You know that, right?
I mean, yeah, there's
Exactly.
I always, every country we slide in some of the Bantu migration, but I guess in the southern part, at least that's what I know so far, the real indigenous ones were more or less the San people or Khoisan people, right?
Exactly. Yes, those are they're like the basic. They were like the grooming ground for everything that came after.
Fascinating, fascinating. And now, ja, jetzt reden wir quasi. Du bist in Köln und ich bin gar nicht in Köln, interessanterweise. Und wir haben uns kennengelernt über eine gute Bekannte, die Tuli. An dieser Stelle auch einen lieben Gruß raus.
Hi, Julie.
Genau, wenn du das hörst, auf jeden Fall besten Gruß nach London. Ich hoffe, sie ist nicht in Quarantäne und langweilt sich. Aber genau, du hast einen ganz interessanten Weg hinter dir, denn du bist quasi mittlerweile eine deutsche Krankenschwester. Ist das richtig?
Ja, ich bin eine deutsche Krankenschwester. Also,
vielleicht gib mal so ein bisschen so eine Intro, ne? Das ist ja nicht ganz gewöhnlich. Also so
ja, genau.
überraschender Weg. Du bist ja noch sehr jung und das ist ja wirklich eine interessante Biografie da. Du kannst ja einfach mal ein bisschen erzählen, wie es dazu kam ungefähr.
Genau, und ich bin auch ja nur seit 3,5 Jahren in Deutschland.
Ja.
Und manchmal sind alle überrascht, wieso kommst du dann da drauf und sowas, weißt du? Ja. Ich bin in 2016 nach Deutschland gekommen.
Ja.
Und ja, damals hatte ich ja meine Highschool, meine Abi fertig gemacht. Und weißt du, wenn du so 17 bist, dann bist du einfach gespannt. Und dann habe ich gehört, in Simbabwe war diese Frau, die Deutsche war.
Okay.
Und die hatte deutsche Unterricht angeboten. Und dann da bin ich hingegangen und die meinte, ja, ich unterrichte Deutsch und ich habe dieses geiles Programm, die ich dann dir beibringen kann. Das heißt, du kannst nach Deutschland gehen für 1 Jahr, dann machst du so ein Au-pair-Jahr, weißt du?
Au-pair, okay, mit so Kindern quasi dann, ne?
Genau, das heißt so ein Programm, wo du mit einer anderen Familie wohnst für 1 Jahr. Du passt auf die Kinder auf, 5 Stunden pro Tag. Dann kriegst du 260 € Taschengeld und kriegst du ein Zimmer, kriegst du dir Essen, so wie ein extra Kindheit, aber dann passt du auf die Kinder aus, weißt du? Ja, dann habe ich gesagt, ja, warum nicht? Ich war damals sehr mutig.
Auf jeden Fall, sehr weit weg, ne? Also Simbabwe ist ja eine ganze Ecke.
Genau, ja, und ich war ja nur ein kleines Mädel, ne? Also nach meiner Abi 17, 18, dann dachte ich, ja, warum nicht? Ich gehe einfach und gucke ich mal, was da passiert. Und ja, dann habe ich dieses Programm angefangen und ja,
Wo bist du da gelandet in Deutschland?
Ich bin dann in Köln Airport gelandet.
Achso, genau. Und wo war das Au-pair-Jahr dann später?
Ja, also
auch in Köln?
Ich bin ja hier angekommen.
Ja.
Und hatte eine Familie in Köln-Weidenwest gefunden.
Ah, okay, schön.
Ja, und diese Familie hatte ja 4 Kinder. Und stell dir mal vor, ich konnte da gar kein Wort Deutsch. Ich konnte nur, wie heißt du? Mein Name ist, ich esse Basics, das nicht. Ne? Weißt du, so Basics, ich konnte mit dieses Basic gar nicht anfangen. Und weißt du, es war schon schwer für mich, weil also die Familie hat mir von Flughafen abgeholt. Stell dir mal vor, ich komme da rein, 4 Kinder. Kinder sind auch nur, die wissen gar nicht, dass du da kein Deutsch sprechen kannst.
Nee, die labern los sofort, ne? Nonstop.
Genau, es hat sofort losgegangen, hi, wir wollen mit dir spielen. Und es war für mich echt überraschend. Und
ich war echt überfordert, weil, weißt du, diese deutsche Kultur, dass ihr so nah mit euren Kindern sind, haben wir das in Simbabwe nicht.
Habt ihr nicht?
Siehst du?
Interessant.
Nee, haben wir nicht. Das ist einfach bei uns echt anders. Ich kann jetzt nicht sagen, dass ich mit meiner Mama spiele. Die wird sagen, bist du bekloppt? Geh mal draußen spielen, weißt du.
Das heißt
Ja,
aber,
und
du spielst dann schon mit Geschwistern und Freunden und Nachbarn?
Ja, mit Geschwistern da draußen weg von den Eltern, aber da gibt es schon diese Beziehung, dass du sagst, jemand ist älter als ich und ich spiele mit diesem Menschen nicht. Ich muss diesen Menschen respektieren.
Okay. Also Eltern spielen nicht mit den Kindern, eher so rum vielleicht?
Nee.
Okay.
Ja, also auch wenn ich eine ältere Schwester bin, wenn ich 16 bin, ich fange nicht an, mit meinem 3-jährigen Bruder zu spielen, weil der hat seine eigene Freundin, weißt du?
Okay.
Ja, das war so. Und ja, dann, weißt du, die Kinder waren klein und dann habe ich angefangen, Deutsch zu lernen, durch die Kinder.
Das geht tatsächlich, glaube ich, sehr schnell, ne? Weil mit Kindern, die sind ja sehr spielerisch auch, glaube ich. Das
genau.
lernt man bestimmt gut.
Aber das Gute für mich war, die Zwillinge waren 3 Jahre und die hatten auch angefangen durchzulernen, weißt du? Then I thought to myself, okay, then we can learn together.
Okay, also mit Grammatik und so kann man zusammen dann ein bisschen...
Genau, mit Grammatik und sowas. Dann habe ich auch ein bisschen mitbekommen, was die Mutter gesagt hatte, was die Kinder so geredet haben. Und ja, habe ich versucht, einen Sprachkurs anzufangen, aber das war nichts für mich. Das war total, also ich dachte, nee, ich kann hier gar nichts anfangen, weil sie unterrichten mir 1 Monat lang den Unterschied zwischen die, das. Und in diesem Moment, I did not need to know, was die, das ist.
Ja.
Ich wollte nur Deutsch sprechen, das ging
also
Praxis,
ne?
Genau, ja, also es war für mich einfach zu slow, weißt du. Ja, und dann danach habe ich gedacht, ich wollte eigentlich nicht so lange als Au-pair bleiben, weil ich weiß, also 4 Kinder waren manchmal ein bisschen viel.
Das glaube ich.
Und weißt du, dann habe ich gesagt, weißt du, das ist schön, aber ich glaube, ich will jetzt was anderes machen. Und dann habe ich dann gehört, du kannst ja im Krankenhaus ein FSJ machen. Und ich dachte, okay, ich war noch nie im Krankenhaus. Ich weiß nicht, was da man macht, aber wer weiß. Ja, und dann habe ich mich beworben bei dem Deutsches Rotes Kreuz. Du kennst das bestimmt.
Natürlich, ist sehr bekannt.
Ja, dann haben die gesagt, ja, okay, wir können Ihnen einen FSJ-Platz bieten, also freiwillige soziales Jahre. Ja, Sie können auf einer internistischen Station in einem Krankenhaus arbeiten. Dann habe ich gedacht, okay, ne? Ich wusste gar nicht, was da für mich, what was waiting for me on the other side. Ja, und so, ja.
War schon ein bisschen Kulturschock wahrscheinlich, oder? So, Krankenhaus ist ja ein sehr steriles, auch so ein bisschen kaltes Umfeld eigentlich, oder?
Das ist so kalt und das ist so schrecklich alles. Ich bin krank geworden, also wirklich psychisch krank geworden. Weißt du, ich hatte diesen Kulturschock von Au-pair, aber da habe ich das nicht so viel gemerkt, weil du bist mit einer Familie und die versuchen auch, weißt du, dich nicht draußen zu lassen.
Nee, die ist offen, ne?
Genau. Und dann kam ich im Krankenhaus und ich kann mich erinnern, Freddy, ich glaube, an meinem 2. Tag war ein Mann, der war so krank dieses Mal. Ich hatte jemanden so krank noch nie gesehen. Ich sage ja hier keinen Namen und sowas, aber ich kann ja schon den Zustand beschreiben. Der hatte Hepatitis B und C, glaube ich. Und den ganzen Körper war orange.
Wow.
Und der war total dünn. Ich glaube, der war 20 Kilo. Der war einfach kaputt. Der hatte viele Schläuche, viele Drainagen. Und weißt du, ich kam auch in der Arbeit, dann sagte eine Schwester, ja, Sima, komm, du musst den hier sowieso waschen. Ich dachte, mein Gott.
Höchststrafe.
Siehst du, und ich konnte nicht Nein sagen, weil du denkst, sage ich Nein, dann sagst du ja, du kannst deinen Job nicht, dann musst du den, weißt du, von Anfang an anfangen.
FSJ ist ja auch nochmal so die unterste Stufe wahrscheinlich im Krankenhaus, ne?
Genau.
Das ist so der Smutje,
ja
ne? So
genau.
Das Kind.
Du musst eigentlich machen, was die sagen. Du kannst jetzt nicht sagen, ja, ich möchte nicht, du musst dann waschen gehen. Und wenn die sagen, Sima, geh mal waschen, Sima, geh mal das machen, dann machst du das auch. Und ja, ich war so, okay, was soll ich machen? Dann bin ich einfach reingegangen, habe dieses Mann gewaschen, Freddy. Aber von diesem Tag war ich noch, I was never the same again.
Echt?
Ich war total anders. ich habe mich geärgert, ich habe gedacht, vielleicht bin ich krank geworden. Ich habe jeden Tag immer meine Augen in the mirror geguckt und gedacht, oh mein Gott, ich bin auch langsam krank, weißt du? Das hat irgendwas in meinem Kopf gestartet. Und ja, bis ich irgendwann zum Arzt gegangen bin und habe gesagt, hör mal, ich glaube, irgendwas ist los mit mir.
Ja, so psychisch
Und
einfach,
der
oder?
sagte, genau, aber ich wusste das nicht. Der sagte, ja, was ist los denn mit Ihnen? Ich sage, ja, ich weiß es nicht. Du musst mir sagen, was los mit mir ist. Ich sage, ja, was hast du? Ich habe Beschwerden gesagt. Und er sagte, ja, die Beschwerden, die du dir jetzt mir sagst, sind einfach psychische Beschwerden. Du bist einfach du bist zu gestresst. Und dann habe ich gesagt, ja, ne, bin ich auch. Wegen dieser Kulturschock. Und da hatte ich so ganz verschiedene deutsche Leute getroffen.
Ja,
eine, die Tante Hilde, eine, die, weißt du, Leute, die einfach mit verschiedenen Charakter, weißt du,
auch
die
viele
Leute,
extreme
die einfach,
Personen, ne? Weil so kranke Leute oder auch so,
genau,
ist dann schon sehr extrem viel, ne? Verhalten.
genau, auch Angehörige, also so viele Sachen. Und dann denkst du, Gott, ich bin noch immer 1,5 Jahre hier und ich muss dann jetzt so und so machen und ich kann kein Deutsch. Und wenn du nicht so gut Deutsch sprichst, dann hört dich, no one takes you seriously. Du redest ja alleine quasi. Die gucken dich einfach an und sagen, ja, was sagst du denn jetzt? Dann hast du auch keinen Bock zu reden, weißt du? Dann denkst du, ach, weißt du was, ist eh egal.
Es ist auch wahrscheinlich relativ wenig Schwarze, die man am Krankenhaus trifft, oder? Vom Personal her? Oder wie war das, als du angefangen hast?
Ich glaube, ich war die Erste. Ich war die
Erste
Erste
sogar? Okay, krass.
in meinem Krankenhaus. Ich war die Erste. Und dann, ich bin nach Deutschland gekommen mit 2 von meinen Freundinnen. Eine Cousine von mir und eine Freundin von mir von Highschool quasi. Und dann halt, als ich die Erste war, dann habe ich dir gesagt, ja, du kannst dann zu mir kommen, ist ja erstmal schwer, aber du kannst das. Dann ist sie drüber gekommen und dann ist meine Cousine auch gekommen. Dann waren wir 3.
Sehr gut. Habt ihr jetzt eine richtige kleine Family?
Ja.
Super.
Genau.
Und wie hat sich das mittlerweile entwickelt? Ich meine, du bist ja auch jetzt noch viel gestresst. Alleine jetzt natürlich, klar, Corona-Phase, du hast auch einen vollen Kalender. Aber ist es heute noch so, dass du da Stress hast? Oder wie gehst du da mittlerweile um mit dieser Situation?
Also nach meiner FSJ, ich habe mich überlegt, eine Ausbildung zu machen. Ich habe gedacht, ja, warum nicht? Ne? Ich habe mein FSJ erfolgreich gemacht, weil also erste 2 Monate waren natürlich schwer. Aber ich habe zu mich gesagt, alles ist schwer. Und das Problem war, ich wollte eigentlich immer Medizin studieren, aber hier kann ich gar nicht studieren, weil die sagen, meine Abi reicht gar nicht.
Das ist schwierig.
Genau, das ist schwierig. Genau, die Anerkennung ist sehr schwierig und deswegen haben die mir Fachoberschülerreif oder irgendwas gegeben. Dann habe ich gedacht, weißt du was, ist egal, ich kann auf dem Weg dahin zur Medizin dann Krankenschwesterausbildung machen. Ich bin ja auch noch jung und
ja,
ich kann alles. Genau.
Das machen ja viele, ne? Auch viele, die Medizin machen, sind vorher irgendwie Rettungssanitäter.
Genau.
Das ist nicht ungewöhnlich eigentlich, ne? Das ist schon...
Ist nicht ungewöhnlich, das ist schon bekannt. Ja, dann habe ich mich entschieden und ich hatte auch ich habe zurechtgekommen mit der Personal, ne? Mit der Zeit, die Entwicklung der Zeit haben wir auch unsere Relationships wir haben uns ein bisschen besser verstanden.
Okay, also dann, unter den Schwestern so, dass man so auch Freundschaften oder gute Beziehungen.
Ja, und dann, weißt du, ich hatte diesen Ding, ich wollte ja irgendwann mal Leute einfach helfen, weil du siehst jemanden, der kann einfach nicht und the smallest thing that you do for this person means a lot to them. Even if you go there with a glass of water, make the person sit up and say, drink some water, that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So, du siehst diese kleine Unterschied, du dann mitbringst, dann denkst du, ich kann ja mehr machen, weil wenn du dann noch eine FSJ machst, dann darfst du auch nicht viel machen.
Nee.
Manchmal musst du nur waschen oder einfach
nicht so viel
mitlaufen.
Verantwortung, ne?
Genau. Ja, dann habe ich gedacht, nee, ich mag das. Ich überlege mal nach 3 Jahren, was ich denn danach machen möchte, aber dann, ich muss das erstmal machen, dann gucke ich mal weiter.
Das heißt, du bist jetzt in der Ausbildung auch mit Schulteil quasi, ne? Du musst ja auch so normal dann Schule, noch Berufsschule ist das, glaube ich, ne?
Genau, aber das ist ja jetzt letztes Jahr, ne?
Das ist jetzt vorbei.
Ja.
Aber wie gefiel dir das so? Ich meine, du bist natürlich, ich habe gehört, Simbabwe hat ja ein sehr gutes Bildungssystem eigentlich innerhalb Afrikas. Das ist ja ganz hoch anerkannt, vergleichsweise, ne?
Genau.
Aber das heißt...
Deswegen war ich echt...
Ja? War es denn trotzdem eine Umstellung, dann hier in die Schule zu gehen, also in die Berufsschule? Oder wie würdest du diese Phase so auch beschreiben?
Also Zimbabwe ist echt gut mit Schülern. Ich glaube, last time I checked, it was the highest, wie heißt es nochmal auf Deutsch?
Alphabetisierungsrate?
Genau, in Afrika.
Es ist wirklich hoch. Also kontinental glaube ich wirklich, ja. Hast du wahrscheinlich sogar recht. Echt?
Ja, das war echt, es ist echt heftig, weil wir mussten da echt so viel lernen, wir mussten da immer in der Schule, wir machen alles, weil wir haben auch nicht so viel als Kinder, wir mussten einfach lernen und ne, das System ist echt gut. Deswegen war ich ein bisschen sauer, als ich hier angekommen bin und die sagen, ja, wir machen A-Levels, ihr habt Abitur, wir haben A-Levels, wie das britische System, ne? Du kennst das bestimmt. Und ich hatte A-Levels gemacht und ja, aber das, ne, wir können das nicht anerkennen, weil das ist für uns ein bisschen Berufsschule weg, weißt du. Dann müssen wir nur bis Fachoberschule reif anerkennen. Und ich war ein bisschen genervt, weil Zimbabwe ist schon erkannt, wir sind schon eine Academic Nation.
Auf jeden Fall.
Und weißt du, dann habe ich gesagt, ja, ist egal, gehe ich einfach in die Schule. Und es ist einfach anders, wenn du dein ganzes Leben Englisch sprichst, dein ganzes Leben Devela sprichst, dein ganzes Leben Shona sprichst, dann musst du auf einmal Klausuren auf Deutsch schreiben. Mit deutsch sprechenden Leuten.
Ja, und Lehrer vor allem, ne, die auch nicht so viel darauf Rücksicht nehmen vielleicht. Oder, ne, es ist ja schon nicht ganz leicht.
Und die erwarten, dass du auch so viel eine Einser schreiben wie die nächste Kind, der hier in Deutschland geboren ist. Weißt du? Und es war am Anfang ein bisschen schwierig und mit diesem deutschen System, du musst 6 Monate Probezeit machen. Wenn du den Probezeit nicht schaffst, wenn du den Noten nicht, wenn du deine Klausuren vielleicht nur 5er oder 4er schreibst, dann kommst du auch nicht durch. Deswegen war das ein bisschen schwer, weil du musstest die lateinische Begriff lernen, du musst die deutsche Begriff lernen, du bist kein deutsch sprechende Person. Das war ein bisschen schwer, weißt du, das hat mir ein bisschen schwer gefallen.
Aber jetzt bist du wahrscheinlich gut vorbereitet, denn auch Medizin ist ja sehr viel schulisch, ne? Es ist ja auch sehr viel an Begriffen, die man auswendig lernen muss und ich glaube, da bist du dann ja, wenn du Simbabwe und schon hier die Schulsysteme durchlaufen hast, dann bist du da richtig gewappnet. Jetzt vielleicht mal so ein bisschen in der Retrospektive, seit du hier bist, du hast jetzt gesagt 3,5 Jahre, du bist aber nach wie vor auch noch immer ab und zu in Simbabwe, oder?
Ja, klar.
Ja, also auch im Urlaub?
Vom Urlaub. Ich hatte seit 2016 bis 2008, also vor fast 2 Jahren, habe ich gesagt, ich bleibe einfach. Und dann 2018 habe ich das erste Mal zu Hause gegangen. Und ja, also ich habe das Gefühl, dass ich einfach nicht hier in Deutschland einfach so lange bleiben muss, weil das Heimgefühl ist noch nicht da, weißt du? Ich kann manchmal sagen, also I wake up some days and I think, oh my God, I have to go home, you see? Weil du brauchst dieses Gefühl, deine Mitmenschen, also an der Straße einfach mit jemand anderem an deiner Sprache mitzusprechen. Und es ist einfach so schwer, weil wir sind hier alleine. Und die ganze Familie ist auf der anderen Seite.
Ja.
Deswegen springe ich einfach zwischen zwischen Simbabwe, Südafrika und Deutschland.
Wie ist es denn, wenn du sagst, du hast beispielsweise eine gute Freundin und eine Cousine, gibt es denn so eine kleinere Diaspora aus Simbabwe innerhalb Köln oder in Deutschland? Wie ist so dieses Netzwerk vielleicht aufgestellt?
Es ist echt eine Überraschung, aber wir sind eigentlich viel.
Ja?
Ich wusste das auch nicht, aber diese Frau hat anscheinend mehr als 500 Meter schon drüber gebracht.
Ah, diese deutsche Frau in Simbabwe.
In Simbabwe, okay, genau.
Cool. Und die machen alle Au pair, okay. Ja gut, wahrscheinlich, sie muss auch was verdienen, ne? Wird sie
die muss ja auch was machen.
Ja, aber schön.
Und die hat einen simbabwisches Mann geheiratet und die haben dieses Programm gestartet und ich finde das super gut. Und ja, aber sie hat schon, ich glaube, vor 10 Jahren oder 12 Jahren angefangen und ja, gibt es schon viele Mörder aus Simbabwe. Manche sind schon Ärztinnen, manche sind, die haben sich schon sehr gut entwickelt. Deswegen mag ich, weißt du, diese afrikanische Mindset. Wir müssen, weißt du, wenn die Deutsche, also vielleicht wenn jemand anderes uns sieht, denkt, they just wanna be a nurse, just wanna stay at the hospital, take care of the old people. Yeah. But when we come here, for us, it's the first step. Because unsere Länder bietet das gar nicht.
Natürlich.
Und wir denken, weißt du, wenn wir nach Deutschland gehen, dann, that is grooming ground. Wir nehmen den ersten Schritt. Siehst du, und deswegen viele Leute aus Zimbabwe, die hier gekommen sind echt erfolgreich in the small aspects of their lives.
Weil die auch schon viele Schritte gemacht haben. Ne? Du hast ja erzählt, bevor du Nurse warst, erstmal Au pair, dann FSJ, dann bist du ja auch schon, ne, Build up. Bist ja schon in einem anderen Modus. Jemand, der in Deutschland Krankenschwester wird, der macht halt Schule zu Ende und wird Krankenschwester. Da ist kein Aufstieg so gesehen. Ne? Du hast ja richtig so up the ladder. Das ist ja auch ein schönes Gefühl dann immer wieder. Ein Step mehr. Das ist
wenn jemand anderes das sagt, weil wenn ich meine Lieben selber gucke, dann sehe ich nicht so viel Unterschied. Dann denkst du, ach Gott, ich bin seit 3 Jahren im Krankenhaus.
Ja.
Wann hört das auf? Aber wenn du sagst, ja, du hast jetzt ein paar Schritte gemacht, dann sehe ich das auch.
Ja, klar.
Ich bin ja jetzt started from the bottom, you know.
Natürlich. The quote is correct. Absolutely. Ja, schön. Und wie hat sich vielleicht auch dein Bewusstsein mit Simbabwe verändert? Ich nehme an, das war das erste Mal, dass du ins Ausland gezogen bist länger.
Genau, also
auch so dein Blick zurück?
Wie oft ich zurückfliege, das kommt drauf an. Ich versuch's mal.
Sorry, habe ich vielleicht falsch formuliert. Ich meine, wie sich so deine Awareness von Simbabwe vielleicht verändert hat, dadurch, dass du jetzt weggegangen
meine
bist.
Bewusstsein, okay.
Genau.
Das Ding ist, weißt du, Home is Home. Das kann ich jetzt nicht wegnehmen. Zu Hause ist zu Hause. Aber Simbabwe ist hart. Weißt du, wenn du in Simbabwe bist, siehst du kein Problem. Du siehst schon den Problem, die ökonomische Situation ist scheiße, politische und sowas. Aber du liebst, du gehst weiter, du gehst in die Schule, du gehst arbeiten, du verdienst, was du verdienst und das Leben geht einfach weiter. Ja. Aber wenn du reist, wenn du nach Europa gehst oder wenn du nach woanders hinzieht, dann überlegst du oder siehst du das von einem anderen Angle. Weißt du, dann stehe ich hier, dann sehe ich, oh mein Gott, okay, das ist da nicht richtig, das kann man so nicht machen, weil von mich kann ich jetzt nicht vorstellen, dass ich in den kommenden 5 bis 10 Jahren wieder nach Simbabwe mein ganzes Leben da
umstellen.
I can go and live there. Genau. Weil da ist es hart, da musst du schon viel, siehst du hier, wenn du deine Ausbildung machst, als Krankenschwester, du verdienst vielleicht erstes Jahr Ausbildung, verdienst du 1.000 oder 1.100 oder irgendwas. Das ist auf jeden Fall hier
ist nicht viel in Deutschland. Nee, ganz wenig.
Aber in Simbabwe verdient man nur, also damals, wenn das Mugabe noch da war, God bless his soul, da hat man nur 300 Euro verdient.
Als Krankenschwester. Genau, und nicht mit Ausbildung, sondern final wahrscheinlich. Also richtige Krankenschwester. Ne?
Ja. Siehst du? Und vielleicht haben die Ausbildung so weniger verdient, weißt du? Klar. Und weil meine Mutter war selber Krankenschwester und die hat irgendwann mal aufgehört zu arbeiten, hat die gesagt, weißt du was, ich gehe jetzt nicht jeden Tag arbeiten, um 300 Euro zu verdienen. Ich habe dort Kinder, ich habe Familie, das kann ich ja nicht. Besser mache ich andere Sachen, die mir mehr Geld bringen, als ich dann jeden Tag hier um 6 Uhr bis 6 Uhr arbeiten gehe, nur um 300 Euro zu verdienen. Siehst du, deswegen meine Bewusstsein, also es hat sich schon sehr viel verändert.
Also du bist mittlerweile auch so ein bisschen stuck between, wenn ich das so raushöre, ne? Dass du sagst, du willst schon hier auch weitermachen. Ich meine, lohnt sich ja dann auch erst wahrscheinlich in einigen Jahren, dass man hier dann so Sachen macht wie beispielsweise Krankenkasse, Rentenkasse. Das sind ja auch viele Gelder, die du hier bezahlst, die ja dann weg sind, wenn du einfach wieder weggehst zum Beispiel. Ne? Und,
aber das Ding ist, ich liebe meine Heimat. Deswegen ich mag da viele Sachen. Und ich will auch nicht mein ganzes Leben hier in Europa verbringen. Ja. Deswegen versuche ich, irgendwas da in Simbabwe zu starten, damit ich einfach, weißt du, ein anderes Bild von Simbabwe einfach, I cannot change the world, but I can do my part.
You can change your world, at least.
Exactly.
And your world is probably bigger than you think.
Exactly. So I see that there's a problem in Zimbabwe. There's a very big problem, economic problem, politics. People are suffering. Yeah. People don't have money. People are hungry. But people are living. You know, that's one thing I love about Zimbabwe. People wake up and they go on each and every day. They wake up, they are still positive. Die machen einfach weiter.
Ja, das ist interessant.
Dieses Kraft, die geben einfach nicht auf. There are women that sell fruits on the street, women that just spend the whole day trying to sell something that does not even bring $10 to the table, but because they have kids at home, they have to feed those kids. So if they are going to sit at home, the $10 won't come to them. So there is this resilience that
Resilience, ja, das ist ein gutes Wort. Das ist ein gutes Wort, glaube ich. Ne? Und das ist auch etwas, was vielfach natürlich klar, man kann es verstehen, in Deutschland es ist sehr lange einfach sehr ruhig, sehr friedlich, auch sehr viel Wohlstand da gewesen. Das verliert man natürlich irgendwann auch, so eine gewisse Resilienz mit Problemen. Ne? Ich merke das ja selbst irgendwie in meinem Umkreis. Ich will mich jetzt auch nicht auf ein hohes Ross heben, aber wenn Leute schon eine schlechte Note in der Schule haben und Katastrophe, alles ist vorbei, aber eigentlich ist das ja auch nur sehr, sehr, sehr wenig relevant eigentlich. Ne? Und da wünscht man sich schon manchmal auch so ein bisschen diese Resilienz wieder zurück.
Genau, weil ich kenne jemanden und der ist deutsch. Wir sind eigentlich gut befreundet. Wenn der das hier hört, wird er an mich sauer sein. Aber
auch was.
Der ist immer an Meckern.
Immer meckern, ja, das ist aber typisch.
Weißt du, der sagt, das scheiße Gesundheitssystem, jetzt verdienen wir gar nicht viel, jetzt müssen wir arbeiten, jetzt müssen wir in die Schule. Und ich habe irgendwann gesagt, kannst du einfach deine Fresse halten? Weil du hast keine Ahnung, was da in anderen Ländern los ist.
Ja.
Du verdienst, du hast deine eigene Wohnung, du kommst hier jeden Tag in die Schule, du isst was, du hast deine Taschengeld, du kannst alles hier leisten. Und du redest, als ob deine Welt zu Ende ist, weil du so wenig verdienst und oh mein Gott, das und das, jetzt habe ich Frühdienst und das geht doch gar nicht. Und weißt du, dieses ewige Meckerei, das kann ich nicht mehr holen, weil...
Vor allem, wenn man nichts verändert. Ne? Ich meine, wenn du ein Problem siehst und sagst, hier, das Bett hat einen Defekt, wir reparieren das jetzt, völlig okay wahrscheinlich.
Genau. Ja, das ist eins von den deutschen Merkmalen, die ich nicht so mag. Ich mag eigentlich Deutsche, aber dieses ewige Complaining. Jetzt haben wir kein Essen, jetzt habe ich dann im Supermarkt geguckt, das gibt's doch gar nicht, die haben das weggenommen. Ja, jetzt, weißt du, diese ewige
aber jetzt, das ist interessant. Jetzt sind wir natürlich, wir reden Ende März, also Hochphase von Corona. Merkst du auch, dass es jetzt in dieser Corona-Krise wieder dadurch Probleme gibt, dass Leute einfach, weil viele Deutsche bekommen ja große Sorgen, ganz viel Angst. Ist das auch etwas, was du so im Krankenhaus oder im Gesundheitsumfeld beobachtest, dass jetzt auf einmal viele sehr, sehr crazy werden?
Ja klar, das ist überall. Leute sind einfach crazy geworden. Ich bin auch ein bisschen crazy geworden, weil das ist ja eine Epidemic, Freddy. Das ist jetzt, that affects everybody. Everybody is in this dance together. So,
aber man muss ja jetzt deswegen nicht im Supermarkt anfangen, irgendwie rumzustreiten oder so. Ne? Also,
diese tausende Toilettenpapierkauferei. Wir können auch nichts davor, dass diese Epidemie jetzt da ist. Aber ich verstehe das nicht, wenn du dann um 7 Uhr aufwachst und alle Toilettenpapier von Rewe oder Netto kaufst, alle Fleisch oder was lässt du denn von deinen Mitmenschen, weißt du? Und dann, also ich finde das ein bisschen unnötig, diese Sorge, weil wir sind ja nicht die erste. China hat auch vor 2 Monaten oder 3 Monate Quarantäne gestartet und die haben das bestanden. Die haben einfach zu Hause geblieben und gut war. Aber dieses ewige I am complaining, I am Deutsch, I must go out, I must have tissue, I must have milk, I must have this. It is very annoying and it does not help anybody because you cannot come with your complainings and your problems on top of problems. Weil wir versuchen jetzt Corona zu kämpfen, dann müssen wir jetzt mit anderen Leuten kämpfen wegen Toilettenpapier und wegen anderen unnötigen Sachen. Das finde ich manchmal ein bisschen lustig, aber weißt du, manchmal einfach unnötig, was die Leute einfach reden.
Das stimmt, aber kommen wir zu positiven Sachen. Ich habe dich eben unterbrochen dabei, aber du hast erzählt, du bist auch immer noch aktiv, was zum Beispiel Projekte angeht in Simbabwe. Willst du uns vielleicht da ein bisschen noch was näher zu erzählen?
Genau, also es ist einfach relativ neu, ja. Wir haben gedacht, siehst du hast ja mir gefragt, wie hat meine Ausblick für Simbabwe verändert.
Genau.
Ne? Weil deine Frage war so. Und ich bin hier gekommen, dann habe ich gedacht, da fehlt einfach was. Wir sind hier in Deutschland, in einem sehr reichen Land und gegenüber ist das Simbabwe mit Kindern, die ohne Eltern haben, die Eltern zu HIV verloren haben, Kinder, die 5 Kilometer zur Schule hin und zurück laufen mussten. Das heißt 10 Kilometer pro Tag ohne Schuhe. ohne Essen und danach mussten die zu Hause gehen und kochen und wieder noch 5 Kilometer laufen, um Wasser zu besorgen. Weißt du, Kinder, die einfach die ganze Familie zusammenhaut.
Ja.
Dann haben wir gesagt, was machen wir? Was machen wir? Wir können jetzt nicht einfach hier sitzen und weinen und sagen, ja, Simbabwe ist jetzt so. Aber was machen wir dagegen? Wir können jetzt nicht alle Kinder retten, aber wir können eine Lösung finden, wo wir Step by Step, Child by Child, a better life, you see, something like that.
Klingt sehr
so
nobel.
we thought of a plan, and we're like, we're going to start a trust. We wanted to start, it's like the trust is the same as foundation, but because of the Zimbabwean laws, you cannot say you are registering a non-governmental business without being a trust for 2 years. So you have to operate as a trust so that after that they can see what you've done and say, okay, so we're not giving you a go-ahead to become a bigger organization, you see? So we have an organization called Moho Trust. And it's Moho Trust. To anybody who is listening, it's about changing the world. You know, we are trying to change our world. We're trying to change this children's world. We're trying to just bring about a bit of some positivity in Zimbabwe, because God knows they need it. So
is it like a community project, or what do you plan in terms of?
It's like a non-profit making organization.
Mm-hmm.
We raise funds, and when we raise funds, we sit down and we talk about it and say, okay, so we have raised this much, and with this much, we want to go into a home. We want to pay school fees for these kids. We want to buy them shoes.
Mm-hmm.
We want to supply we want to give them food stuff maybe for like 2 months, you know?
Yeah.
And we do this project and we see if we get results, see if we get cooperative, because we cannot do it on our own people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we just cooperate.
So it's like a mentoring a little bit also?
Sorry?
Is it also like a mentoring then, kind of like that you have specific kids that you choose, and then they are kind of supported by you guys? So like a peer mentoring a little bit?
Sorry, I wasn't hearing you. My internet had disconnected. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was wondering, because you said it's like targeted to individual kids, school kids, right? So it's like a kind of like a mentoring program for kids in need.
Exactly. It's for kids in need. I cannot say primary school kids. We don't have a bestimmte target market. Weißt du, wir wollen einfach Kinder helfen. Und for us, it's from children ranging from 0 years old to 16 years old. Kids that cannot help themselves, you know. So it's an ongoing project, and I would really love it if you also tell people, tell your friends about it.
Let's do it. Do you have links? Any website, or I don't know, crowdfunding pages? Or...
Exactly. I have a GoFundMe page. I can send you the link.
Send me
and you
the
can
link.
just
We'll put it inside.
stick
Perfect.
it there. Exactly. And there's a brief, I just briefed a bit about what we're about and what we want to do. And, you know, so we still are not sure where it's going to go, but we are hoping that...
in any case, you will learn from it, I think. In any case, even if what is the worst case scenario? Come on, let's say it, even if no funds, crowds, or let's say no finances get in there. But even then, you have all the skill set now to fund something like that again when it will be possible. So in any case, I think you're doing the right thing there. It's very nice.
It's, of course, a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
You know, it is better than, I thought it was better than just standing still and waiting for somebody to come and save those kids.
Yeah, and complaining,
Exactly. You know, like a high school principal of mine used to say, please stop complaining and change your attitude. Yes, I just told myself, just suck it up. And, you know, just try to do the best that you can. So yeah, that's the thing.
Cool. Maybe just to also, I mean, I really like the spirit. So maybe to give for futurely interested, let's say Zimbabweans in this case, who want to also make the way to Germany, and maybe in this case also to become a nurse. Do you have some recommendations or some reflections maybe on your way, or what you would advise others, or what your experiences was so far?
Well, I would definitely say, if you want to become a nurse, firstly, du musst es einfach wollen. Das ist keine Sache, dass du dann jetzt von heute auf morgen, a decision that you can just make lightly. It is a very hard job. It is a demanding job. It is an emotionally demanding job. So anyone out there who is listening and wants to become a nurse, or is Zimbabwean, is here in Germany and is struggling and is thinking, oh my God, I cannot do this.
Yes.
And even if you're in Zimbabwe or wherever you are, you can do this. It is not as impossible as it seems, because, there's this mentality that, Africans like to put on themselves that because I did it, I don't want to tell the next person. I have to be a nurse there in Germany, and the other person has to suffer and find ways, really have sleepless nights. So I would like to say, inform yourself. Go on the internet, research how to become a Krankenschwester in Germany, how to get a visa in Germany, how to learn the language in Germany, how to meet people in Germany, socialize, ask around, meet new people, because you cannot do it on yourself. You have to have people that are going to say, okay, du kannst das so und so machen, du kannst zum Ausländeramt gehen, du kannst deine Visum so, gibst diese Schule, du kannst so und so. You see, you need a backbone. You need to be open. You need to ask people for help when you know you need help. You need to know that it's not impossible, that you can come to Germany, or you can, because there are Zimbabweans in Germany that have lost hope. Zimbabweans that think, okay, fine, maybe I came here years ago and my visa expired, and now what am I doing? So inform yourself. There are people out there who are willing to. There are people that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we are speaking in a time where this month, beginning of March, a new law came into practice, which will probably even make it possible to go a faster way than you did. Fachkräfteeinwanderungsgesetz, horrible long German word, but they are trying to, I would say, incentivize also people who have maybe some high school diploma or finished apprenticeship. So the chances are there, and the market is open. I mean, the lack of employers is large in Germany. So we are, I think, in the exactly trending topic here. Yeah, it's very, very accurate. And maybe from your personal experience, also the contrast Germany-Zimbabwe. Do you have any advice for people who are thinking about making the jump from Zimbabwe to Germany, for example, what they should prepare for?
Yes, they should definitely bring some spices with. They should bring some food, pack some food there, pack some biltong, pack some food for the first few weeks. Yeah, but really just come with an open mind. Don't come with expectations and think Germany is candy floss and ice creams, and Germany is just as hard as any other country. Yeah. So if you're planning to make the jump, have an open mind. Be somebody who wants to make the jump and wants to learn from it. Somebody who is not because the thing about Africans is we want things to happen now. Like if I want to go to Germany, I want to go to Germany and be a Krankenschwester now. Yes. Ich muss das jetzt so machen. You see, give yourself time. Everything takes time. If you want to go to Germany, start from the bottom. Even if it means you're going to work at a restaurant somewhere, start there. Go to Germany with an open mind. Learn from other people. Teach yourself the language, because if you're going to come to Germany and you can't speak German, German, it's a non-stat. You cannot work anywhere. Yeah.
It's a tough,
even if you do
language.
Exactly, you will not feel like you belong if you don't speak German. So you just have to teach yourself the language, because you are now in someone else's land. Absolutely. You have to speak their language. You're in Germany. You're not in England. You're not in Zimbabwe. So just be open-minded. That's one thing I can say. Be open-minded. Don't be afraid of taking risks. And I feel like it's already a big of a risk to leave your comfort zone coming to Germany.
Always.
Because believe me, Germany is another world compared to Zimbabwe. So
I can imagine. Weather-wise, mentality-wise, it's a very big contrast, I can imagine. But exactly. Even now, I think it's getting easier with wonderful people like you there and others who can maybe facilitate some networking and these things. So, I mean, it's just getting better, I think, right?
Yeah, it's getting better. Of course, it gets better. That's what I'm saying. I'm going back to my point that you have to come here and look for people. No one is going to look for you. Yes. No one is going to know that there's a girl called Mary that came to Germany 2 months ago. So if you come here, you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to look for people that are going to help you. You have to be willing to take a step back and say, I'm new here. I have to look for my fellow Zimbabweans. And trust me, if you look for me, I won't send you away. If you look for my friends, they won't send you away. So we are a big community. We might not go around holding hands outside, but we are a very big community, and we we're a big community, but also in a very big country. So that makes us very small. So we welcome every little addition that there is, you know.
Beautiful.
So if they,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Sima, I really think that we learned a lot here, yeah, especially since you are already representing the success story yourself, and I'm very curious to see how far this goes, how far your way goes, how far also Moho Trust goes.
I'm also interested, but you know, I can tell you that when we speak again, whenever we speak,
we will speak again, for sure, for sure.
Exactly. Maybe 2 years from now, I don't know. We will be talking a different story. You know,
Absolutely.
We will be talking a story of progress, a story of how, you know, my journey has, because my thing, what I really want to do, the thing that I've always wanted to do is to show other people like me that it's possible, it's okay, you can do it. So that's why I started this thing, like we started this organization, because that is the only way we can motivate young kids to say, you can do something, you know, it doesn't matter what. So in 2 years from now, we will be talking a different story. We'll be talking a story of progress, of excellence, maybe.
Excellence,
you know, of how,
it is the objective, absolutely.
Yes, that is the objective. And I know that life is full of surprises, but in the midst of that, I want to be talking a different story in 2 years. And I want to tell everyone that Germany was my grooming ground, you know? It was the place that gave birth to a lot of things, to a lot of ideas. And because I have a lot of them, but you know, you cannot just start doing things, you know, at the same time. You have to give yourself time.
And this is the spirit, I think, that many natives keep forgetting, and I think it's vitalizing, yeah, many of us with such open and positive vibes that you're spreading. So I'm very open. I mean, this format as itself will now finish in the 55th week for the say African portraits, but it's ongoing. There's going to be different ideas on the table, and at some point I'm very happy also then maybe we can look into the Moho Trust reflection, what you think so far.
Exactly.
Or we'll find something maybe with Tuli together. Let's see how life goes. I'm going to stick to that, and in any case I wish you the best of luck, and hope that you get through this pandemic situation. I know the nurse life is probably not the easiest, and we all believe in you, yeah, from our home office desks. We in our heart we support you guys.
Thank you. Just also please stay at home, because the sooner you guys understand that we have to stay at home, then the sooner we can all go back to our normal lives, you know.
Absolutely. Perfect. Simakuhle, thank you very much. I looking forward to the next time, and stay safe.